Welcome back to Retro Asylum. Over the past few weeks I've been very nostalgic about the Atari 2600. It was the second system that I owned as a child. And nowadays, well, I don't actually own one, but I do own an Atari 7800 which happens to be fully backwards compatible with the Atari 2600 library. And one of the games that I used to really enjoy back in the day was called H.E.R.O by Activision. Let's take a look. Sometimes as a games player you buy the odd turkey. Sometimes, however, you buy a real gem of a game. And back in 1984 I bought H.E.R.O simply because it was another Atari 2600 game published by Activision. And the majority of Activision games that I played on my Atari were decent. They had a touch of class about them that most of the games of the time lacked. Plus, I thought the main character sprite looked a lot like Pitfall Harry from the Pitfall games, which was a series that I really enjoyed. I hadn't read any of the reviews on the game, I hadn't played it before, but I handed over my cash and hoped for the best. Yes, buying games back then was a real gamble. So, what is H.E.R.O all about? Well, you control Roderick H.E.R.O, who is a guy with a stupid name, and a helicopter backpack, who just happens to have the ability to fire lasers from the visor of his crash helmet. This is dead handy as Roderick is sent down to the mines of Mount Leone to save miners who are trapped in each of the mine shafts. Personally, I think they all look like they've had too much to drink and are sleeping on the job. Lazy sods. In order to rescue the unquenchable workforce, we are sent down to maze-like mine shafts in which we have to avoid nasties such as bats, spiders and other unknown creatures. Along the way you will discover that your route is blocked by walls which are supposed to be cave-ins. To get past these you will need to drop one of the 6 sticks of dynamite that you are given at the beginning of each level. Putting down on the joystick places the dynamite by your feet. Make sure that you run out of the way of the forthcoming explosion, otherwise you'll be taking your toes home in an envelope. Once the wall has been blown away, then you can progress further. If you run out of dynamite, then you can use your laser to get through the walls, but this will take a lot longer, and your backpack only has a limited amount of power, indicated by the power bar at the bottom of the screen, which is constantly draining whilst you are playing, so in effect this acts as a timer for each level. As you may have noticed, some of the screens have lights that you can accidentally knock out, which leave you in total darkness. However, if you use a stick of dynamite whilst the lights are out, you will for a split second be able to see where you have to go. It's also worth noting that usually the most dangerous looking route is the route to take, as there are often many dead ends that are impassable. In later levels, new dangers are introduced, such as walls of magma, which you have to try and blow up without touching them, as doing so will result in instant death. As each mine becomes deeper, you will have to contend with trying to avoid water, which is flooding the mines. Plus, watch out for the strange tentacles that will reach out and try to grab you. Which brings me onto the controls. Pressing up on the joystick will activate the helicopter backpack. However, there is a bit of inertia, which causes a slight delay in taking off and trying to fly higher. This makes the controls tricky to master, especially when trying to avoid water, which can make the game rather frustrating at times, but if you use a decent joystick you'll be fine, honest. Despite the slightly tricky flying mechanics, the game is really fun to play and still holds up 30 odd years after it was first released, which isn't something that can be said for a lot of other Atari 2600 titles of that period. Nice graphics, a great water effect, and the sound does its job well, and there is a ton of great gameplay. Certainly a game I'd recommend everyone to try if they can.